In a world where loyalty is a fragile thread and shadows conceal deadly secrets, the hidden wars of the Middle Ages reveal a brutal dance of betrayal, blood, and power that shaped the fate of kingdoms unseen by history's eyes. A cold dawn breaks over a battlefield, swallowed by thick, restless mist. The fog clings like a shroud, two twisted banners, torn spears, and the broken bodies strewn across the blood-soaked earth. An eerie silence hangs in the air, pierced only by the distant, hollow echo of horns' ghostly calls, fading into a prayer long forgotten by time. The ground beneath is stained deeper than crimson. It holds the weight of whispered betrayals carried on the biting wind, secrets slipping through the cracks of shattered alliances. Amid the ruin, a lone knight stands apart. His armor, dulled by countless campaigns, bears the scars of battles fought, both seen and unseen. Clutched tightly in his gloved hand is a rusted key, once gleaming as a symbol of honor and trust, now nothing more than a cold token of broken vows. His breath rises in soft, icy clouds, mingling with the swirling smoke drifting from smoldering villages beyond the hills. The scent of burnt wood and iron laces the air, an unsettling reminder that war's devastation stretches far beyond the battlefield. The weight of unseen enemies presses upon his soul like a stone, each heartbeat echoing the heavy silence of treachery. In this war, steel clashes only on the surface. Far more dangerous are the battles waged in shadows, where allies turn their backs behind closed doors and smiles hide daggers sharper than any sword. The knight's cloak, heavy with dust and the weariness of forgotten marches, tells stories of sacrifice etched into every thread beneath the looming stone keeps. Those walls, once proud bastions of strength, now guard secrets whispered in darkness, lies woven into the very foundation of power. Through the thick veil of fog, the mournful toll of a distant bell raises a sound that stretches beyond the marking of time. It mourns the fragile trust that once bound lords and vassals, now shattered like brittle glass in the cold halls of court. The bell's echo slips into the silence around the night, threading through the murmurs of the wind and the rustling of his worn armor. Above, the cries of circling ravens break the stillness, their black wings cutting through the pale light omens of death, watchers of decay. They herald the deeper betrayals lurking beneath the surface, unseen yet all-consuming. The knight's eyes, sharp and haunted, scan the path ahead, leading toward a fortress cloaked in mystery and guarded by shadows. Its stone walls rise like a silent monolith, bearing witness to countless pacts made and broken beneath the heavy weight of ambition. Each step forward is heavy, laden with the knowledge that this war is not won by might alone, but by cunning, silence, and sacrifice. The cold air bites, carrying faint whispers that drift like ghost promises of battles yet to come, and the bitter cost of loyalty betrayed as he moves toward the fortress. The earth beneath his boots is soft with frost, the brittle grass crunching quietly beneath him. The landscape seems suspended between life and death, where every sound, the distant clatter of a forgotten sword, the faint murmur of restless spirits, holds the weight of history's secrets. The knight's thoughts turn inward, of faces lost to the cruel dance of power, flickering like candlelight in a darkened chapel. Each memory a thread in the tapestry of war, woven with pain, honor, and the unbearable loneliness of a soldier caught between worlds. Beyond the battlefield, beyond the walls, heavy with mistrust, the silent siege continues. A war fought not with the roar of armies, but with the quiet erosion of faith, where every whispered lie chips away at the foundation of kingdoms. Here, in the shadowed corners of power, the true cost of war is counted not in bodies, but in broken hearts and the invisible chains of betrayal. The night pauses, the chill seeping deep into his bones as the fog begins to lift. Above, the ravens vanish into the gray sky, their watchful cries fading like distant warnings. The bell tolls once more, low and somber a voice from the past reminding all who listen that in this hidden war, no soul remains untouched and no secret remains buried forever. The path before him is dark and uncertain, but the journey must continue, driven by a truth carved in silence and blood, that this dawn is but the beginning. The fragile first breath of a war waged in shadows and silence, a war where loyalty fractures like thin ice, and every step forward carries the weight of all that has been lost. The night's figure dissolves into the rising light, a solitary sentinel standing between a past betrayed and a future yet to be claimed. In the shadowed halls of a grand stone castle, candle smoke curls upward like restless ghosts, twisting through vaulted chambers and settling on tapestries faded by decades of whispered plots and forgotten prayers. The flickering light trembles against the cold, ancient walls, casting long, wavering shadows that seem to reach and recoil as if alive with secrets. In a quiet corner, a lady clad in mourning black stands still at a lattice window. The chill of the night wind weaves itself through the dark veil draped over her hair, brushing her pale cheek with icy fingers. Her breath forms a soft mist in the cold air, mingling with the scent of damp earth and wet stone that seeps through the cracks in the fortress. Her fingers rest lightly on the carved wood of a small box, the surface worn smooth by countless hands and years of hidden messages. Inside, a letter lies folded, its ink blurred by time and tears, but the sharpness of its message cuts through the silence like a dagger. The words speak of betrayal so deep it threatens the very foundation of her family's survival. Outside these walls, the heavy clatter of armored footsteps echoes across the flagstones, a rhythmic reminder of the ceaseless march of war and politics beyond her chamber door. Yet within, silence holds a weight far heavier than any clash of steel, pressing upon her like a stone tied to her chest. Faith and guilt intertwine within her heart like thorny vines, twisting and tightening with every whispered prayer she offers in the dim candlelight. Each breath is a plea for protection, for mercy against enemies invisible, but no less deadly those who lurk behind smiles, who strike with words rather than swords. The flicker of a distant torch catches her eye through the lattice, a fragile flame that dances on the edge of darkness. It is a stark reminder that power is a flame easily snuffed out, or worse, wielded to burn all in its path. She knows too well how quickly trust can turn to ash, how the same hands that once offered comfort can draw blades in the dead of night. The castle seems to hold its breath as she carefully folds the letter. The crinkling parchment sounding unnaturally loud in the stillness. She tucks it beneath layers of soft velvet within her gown, hiding it from all but the most searching eyes. The secret she carries is as dangerous as the daggers that have tasted blood in the corridors after dusk, unseen, but ever present. Each moment feels suspended in time between past loyalty and looming treachery, between the fragile hope of survival and the cold certainty of loss. Outside, the first faint light of dawn begins to pale the horizon, though here in the chamber, shadows cling stubbornly to every corner. The distant tolling of a chapel bell breaks the silence, its mournful sound threading through the cold stone halls like a solemn hymn. It signals the passage from darkness into the uncertain light, a new day, a day steeped in danger and deceit, where old alliances will fracture and new betrayals will be born. The lady's gaze lingers on the fading stars, her thoughts heavy with the knowledge that the walls around her guard more than stone and mortar. They shield secrets that could crumble kingdoms and hearts burdened with choices that may never find redemption. The air grows colder as she turns away from the window, the weight of her hidden truth settling like dust upon the cold floor. She moves silently through the hall, each step measured and deliberate, a shadow among shadows. The castle breathes around her, alive with unseen watchers and whispered fears. Outside, the world awakens to a dawn that promises nothing but uncertainty, where survival demands more than courage. It demands sacrifice, silence, and the unyielding will to endure the hidden wars waged behind the veils of power. As the chapel bell's toll fades into the rising light, the lady presses a hand to her chest, feeling the fragile rhythm of life beneath the velvet and stone. The battle within these walls is only just beginning, and the fate of all who dwell here hangs suspended in the balance between faith and betrayal, hope and despair. The castle waits, patient and silent, a fortress not only of stone but of secrets, guarding the shadows where trust is a currency more precious and perilous than any sword. The hearth fire crackles, a fragile heartbeat against the creeping chill that seeps through the rough timber walls of a peasant's cottage. Its orange glow flickers and dances, casting wavering light across a worn wooden table littered with fragments of parchment, broken quills, and spilled ink. The sharp scent of beeswax candles mingles with the earthy aroma of fresh bread and the faint bitterness of spilled ale, weaving an invisible tapestry of warmth and decay. Outside, the distant clang of blacksmith hammers rings steadily through the crisp morning air, marking the relentless march of daily toil beyond the fragile sanctuary of these walls. Yet within, silence hangs thick, heavy with unspoken fears and the weight of secrets too dangerous to speak aloud. A young scribe leans over his work, eyes fixed on the flickering flames as if drawing courage from their restless light. His hand moves deliberately, copying names forbidden by those who hunger for power unseen, those marked for death by rulers who trade lives like coins. Each stroke of his quill carries the weight of rebellion, a silent defiance, cloaked in shadow beneath the sprawling oaks that guard the village outside. The parchment before him is fragile, as delicate as the hope that binds those who dare to resist. The ink stains, like droplets of blood, bleed truth onto pages meant to survive long after voices have been silenced. The whisper of a breeze rustling dry leaves outside slips through the cracks in the walls, carrying with it secrets and warnings alike. A tattered rope hangs near the door, frayed and heavy with manunga, silent testament to the thin line between loyalty and doom, between sacrifice and survival. The scribe's heart tightens at the sight, knowing well the price of trust in a world where betrayal is a currency more valuable than gold. He pauses, breath caught in his throat, as a soft knock breaks the fragile stillness of summons to a reality where words are weapons and silence often the loudest scream. The flames crackle louder, consuming the last of the light as dusk threatens to swallow the room whole. Shadows stretch and writhe across the rough walls, mirroring the unrest stirring deep within the scribe's soul. He straightens, the parchment tucked carefully away like a secret prayer, and readies himself to step beyond the hearth's fragile sanctuary into a war waged not with swords or shields, but with whispered words and shattered vows. The night awaits him with all its dangers, hidden beneath the cloak of darkness, where loyalty can turn swift and sudden as the blade of a dagger. Outside, the village sleeps uneasily beneath a blanket of stars, its people unaware of the silent battle fought in quiet corners and shadowed rooms. The scribe moves like a ghost through the narrow lanes, the weight of countless lives resting upon his trembling shoulders. Each step echoes faintly on the frost-kissed earth, a rhythm marking the fragile heartbeat of rebellion against the tide of oppression. His mind swirls with memories of faces, friends, and foes, indistinguishable in the harsh light of survival. Each one a reminder that this war demands sacrifices stained deeper than blood within the ancient oaks. The wind sighs low, carrying the scent of rain and earth, whispering of secrets long buried beneath roots and stone. It speaks of endurance, of voices silenced but never forgotten, and of a fragile hope that flickers still in the hearts of those brave enough to fight unseen battles. The scribe's fingers tighten around the worn leather satchel at his side, heavy with forbidden truths that could topple thrones or shatter families. His breath is steady but quiet, his gaze sharp as he disappears into the night. A lone sentinel bearing the fragile flame of resistance in a world consumed by shadows. As the darkness deepens, the cottage hearth dims, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke and Inca lingering reminder of the stories written in silence, the lives balanced on the edge of despair and courage. The scribe's journey unfolds beneath a sky vast and indifferent, where every whispered name is a promise, every secret a burden, and every shadow a reminder that in this hidden war, survival depends not on might alone, but on the fragile strength of the human spirit. The night carries on, filled with the soft murmur of leaves and the distant echo of footsteps fading into the cold. The silent rebellion continues, unseen but unyielding, as the first light of dawn begins to stain the horizon, a fragile herald of a new day where the battle for truth and survival will rage on in the shadows. A heavy rain falls steadily upon the cobblestone streets of a medieval town, each drop striking like a drumbeat against the silence that lingers before an unseen storm. The sky is a deep, brooding gray, as if the heavens themselves hold their breath in anticipation. Lanterns flicker dimly behind shuttered windows, their muted glow casting long, wavering shadows that dance among rotting barrels and splintered carts lining the narrow, winding alleyways. The scent of damp wood and wet earth rises from the soaked streets, mingling with the acrid smoke curling lazily from burning peat fires set low to chase away the creeping cold dot. In the corner of a dimly lit tavern, a grizzled mercenary sits alone, cradling a mug of bitter ale. His scarred hands tremble slightly, betraying the weight of memories soaked in blood and betrayal. Each furrow in his weathered face tells a story of battles fought not only with steel but with trust broken in silence. The dim firelight catches the pale glint of old wounds beneath his rough skin, as his heavy gaze drifts toward the rain-slicked window. Outside, the familiar clang of a blacksmith's hammer fades into the night, swallowed by the steady patter of footsteps and the faint rustle of a cloak brushing against damp stone. Whispers crawl through the tavern, like smoke rumors kindled by fear, spreading like wildfire beneath the veil of darkness. The mercenary listens, each word a sharp edge slicing through the fragile calm. Here, survival is a game of shifting loyalties, where alliances are forged and shattered in the silence. Between words, deals are struck beneath hushed breaths, promises made on cracked wood tables beneath flickering torchlight, fragile as the flag that flaps feebly from a broken pole outside, a symbol of a cause long forgotten, yet never truly lost. The mercenary's eyes, dark and haunted, fix upon that tattered banner, his mind tracing the path of blood and treachery that led to this night. Each fold of fabric tells of men who died for shadows, warriors whose names are swallowed by time and whose stories survive only in scars and silence. The air hangs heavy with the scent of sweat and iron, a constant reminder that in this hidden war, the battlefield is not always open and loud, but often silent and unseen. The clash of swords is replaced by glances sharp enough to kill, by footsteps fading into the rain-soaked streets. Outside, the storm breaks with a roar that echoes through the twisting alleys, the thunder a relentless drum marking the reckoning to come. Lightning forks across the sky, illuminating the mercenary's face, for a moment a face etched with resolve and weariness. The rain pounds harder, washing over the town like a cleansing flood. But beneath the water-soaked streets, the blood spilled for power stains deeper than any storm can erase. He rises slowly, the weight of countless choices heavy in his bones. His breath steams in the cold air as he pulls his cloak tighter, the fabric rough against his skin like the harsh truths he carries. The tavern's warmth fades behind him, replaced by the chill of the night and the unforgiving storm. Each step on the slick stones is measured, a careful rhythm in a world where one wrong move could mean death or worse, betrayal. The mercenary moves like a shadow through the rain, a lone sentinel watching over a city on the brink, where trust is scarce and every ally might be a hidden foe. The tattered flag flutters once more, its motion a fragile heartbeat amid the storms. Fury above, the sky roars again, thunder shaking the very foundations of the ancient town. The mercenary pauses beneath the broken banner, fingers brushing the wet fabric as if seeking strength from a cause long faded but never extinguished. His gaze lifts toward the darkened towers that loom like silent judges over the city, their stone walls harboring secrets darker than the storm itself. In the distance, The soft toll of a bell sounds through the Reina, mournful knell that threads through the thunder and wind. It speaks of endings and beginnings, of blood that will stain more than just the earth beneath weary feet. The mercenary's eyes narrow as he listens, the sound a grim reminder that the hidden wars will not be settled by force alone, but by the fragile dance of loyalty and betrayal beneath the cloak of night. The rain begins to lessen, the storm's fury giving way to a hesitant calm. Yet the tension remains thick and unyielding, woven into the very fabric of the city like the tattered flag's frayed threads. The mercenary melts into the shadows, his figure swallowed by the mist rising from the wet stones. The alleys breathe around him, alive with whispers of promises broken and battles yet to come. As dawn waits beyond the horizon, the storm's last echoes fade into silence. The city stirs, trembling beneath the weight of secrets and fears too heavy to speak aloud. The mercenary's vigil continues, a solitary witness to a war fought not only with sword and shield, but in the quiet, dangerous spaces where power shifts. Like the wind and trust is the most precious and perilous currency of all. The cold breath of winter wraps the ancient fortress in a shroud of frost, each stone heavy with the weight of countless secrets buried beneath layers of ice and time. Icicles hang like glass daggers from the battlements, their sharp edges catching the pale light of a waning moon that barely stirs the frozen earth below. The air is brittle and silent, broken only by the faint whisper of wind weaving through the towers, carrying with it the chill of betrayal and forgotten promises. Outside, the world seems paused, trapped beneath a veil of frost that muffles footsteps and masks the movements of unseen watchers. Within the dim, great hall, a fire sputters weakly, its dying flames casting flickering shadows that crawl like restless spirits over banners bearing heraldry, faded by seasons of war and neglect. The warmth is thin and fleeting, barely holding back the encroaching cold that seeps into the marrow of stone and bone alike. A cloaked figure stands over a heavy wooden table, tracing a finger slowly across a weathered map. The rough parchment smells of dust and smoke, a relic of battles fought and plans hatched in shadowed rooms where light was a stranger. Every mark and line speaks of movements that will decide the fragile fate of kingdoms, hanging by threads finer than steel. The crackle of the fire is joined by the distant howl of wolves, their mournful song a chilling echo beneath the fortress walls. These creatures, symbols of loyalty and ferocity, mirror the fierce bonds and brutal betrayals etched into every fragile alliance, forged in the bitter cold of power. The figures' eyes are heavy, shadows beneath them shaped by sleepless nights, weighed down with the burden of choices made in silence, alliances traded like coins, promises broken beneath veils of midnight. Each decision leaves a scar deeper than any sword wound, invisible yet searing. Beside the map lies a rusted iron ring, cold and unyielding to the touch, a silent witness to chains forged not in metal but in trust betrayed. It lies there as a grim reminder that some bonds, once broken, bind more tightly through bitterness and blood than any forged by oath or honor. The figure's hand lingers over the ring, fingers curling with a weight that presses upon the heart. Outside, the wind carries the faint echo of a bell tolling for the fallen. a mournful sound that cuts through the frozen silence like a blade. It marks not the end of open battle, but the ongoing war of whispers, where power is wielded not by sword alone, but by lies whispered in dark corridors and forgotten oaths buried beneath layers of frost. The great hall seems to breathe with a heavy stillness, the shadows lengthening as the fire dwindles and the moon sinks lower behind clouds thick as despair. The figure turns away from the map, the cloak's folds swallowing the movement, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke and cold stone. The weight of winter presses against every door and window, a cold reminder that beneath the fortress's stoic walls, unseen wars rage on battles fought in silence, in glances sharp enough to kill, in secrets guarded with a deadly devotion. Outside, the wolves vanish into the night, their howls fading into a whisper lost on the wind. The bell tolls. Once more, its sound rolling through frozen valleys and barren fields, echoing the fate of those caught in the relentless struggle for power. The fortress stands unmoved, a sentinel cloaked in ice and shadow, holding within its walls the fragile balance between loyalty and betrayal, between survival and ruin. As the first pale light of dawn threatens the horizon, the figure steps into the cold air beyond the great hall, the frost crunching softly beneath boots hardened by war. The breath rises in white clouds, mingling with the scent of smoke and damp earth, carrying with it the silent promise of battles yet to come. The fortress watches, ancient and unyielding, a monument to a time when kings and courtiers played deadly games beneath the veil of winter's unforgiving grasp. The night's long silence gives way to the uncertain stirrings of a new day, but the echoes of broken vows and whispered schemes linger still, weaving through the frozen stones like shadows that refuse to fade. The war continues hidden, relentless, a fight not just for kingdoms, but for the fragile thread of trust that binds men to their fate in a world where power is the most dangerous blade of all. Beneath a heavy, leaden sky, a forgotten chapel stands alone atop a wind-swept hill, its cracked stained glass windows catching the fading light like fractured memories of faith and despair. The scent of damp stone lingers thickly in the chill air, mingling with the faint, flickering aroma of burning wax from a solitary candle that struggles against the encroaching darkness. Outside, the wind carries away lost prayers whispered long ago, their echoes dissolving into the cold breath of evening that sweeps across the barren land. The chapel's stones hold silence deep within their worn surfaces, silence heavy with the weight of sorrow and hope intertwined. Inside, a weary monk moves slowly through the narrow aisles, his trembling hands tracing the rough-hewn wooden pews, polished smooth by generations of desperate souls seeking refuge amid the chaos of a world unraveling. Each grain of wood tells of whispered confessions, silent tears, and hearts burdened by fear. His voice breaks the quiet, low and steady, weaving a story not of swords or banners, but of exile and sacrifice, of nobles cloaked in velvet and peasants wrapped in rags, all caught in the invisible war waged in hearts and minds beyond open fields. The story carries the weight of lives shattered and loyalties torn asunder, a tapestry woven from the blood and betrayal that seeped beneath stone walls like a slow poison dot, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer. Once a steady rhythm of life and labor fades into silence as the chapel's ancient bell tolls solemnly. Its deep, mournful sound threads through the swirling fog like a solemn vow, marking not the end but the enduring presence of conflict hidden beneath sacred rites and prayers. The bell's voice trembles with the ghosts of fallen souls, those who fought battles unseen, their weapons forged in whispers and their wounds invisible but no less deadly. A faded tapestry hangs crookedly on the chapel wall, its fabric tattered, but its image clear, a veiled figure gripping a sword, eyes veiled yet fierce, a symbol of power unseen and wars fought in shadows. The figure's presence haunts the room, a reminder that beyond these walls, kingdoms rose and fell not only through battle but through secrets, deception, and silent resistance. The veiled warrior embodies the hidden struggles that shaped the medieval world, struggles that carried the weight of faith, guilt, and the relentless pursuit of survival. The monk's eyes close, heavy with the burden of countless unseen battles. His breath rises in soft clouds, mingling with the curling smoke from the candle's flame, fragile yet defiant against the gathering dark. Within him, the echoes of betrayal and bloodshed settle like dust, coating his soul with a solemn witness to the fragile line between salvation and damnation. The chapel itself seems to hold its breath, caught in a moment, suspended between past and present, between prayer and war, between hope and despair. Outside, the fog thickens, swallowing the hill and chapel whole, hiding them from the world. As the night deepens, the wind whispers through the trees like a secret carried on its breath, a promise that the battles fought in silence beneath these sacred walls will ripple beyond the stones and into the lives of those still caught in the web of power and sacrifice. The chapel remains a sanctuary and a tomb, a place where faith and fear collide, and where the stories of forgotten wars linger in the shadows, waiting to be told. As the candle's flame flickers low, the monk rises, stepping into the cold night. With the weight of ancient sorrows pressing upon him, the chill air bites at his skin, a stark contrast to the warmth and silence left behind. His footsteps fade into the mist as the chapel's bell tolls once more, its mournful call weaving into the dark fabric of the world beyond, a world where the true wars are waged not with swords alone, but with hearts bound by loyalty, fear, and the unyielding quest for power. The night holds its secrets close, but the dawn is waiting silent, patient, and inevitable, ready to carry the echoes of this hidden war forward into the fragile light of a new day.